This year's Remembrance Day stamp honors the courage of Sikh soldiers who served in Canada's military during the two world wars. More than 1 million South Asians served just in the First World War, with over 250,000 of them of Sikh origin, fighting alongside the British and Allied forces. And in Canada, only 10 Sikh men broke through those barriers of discrimination in order to enlist. They fought in Europe despite being denied the right to even vote in their own country and unable to bring their families to their new home. One of the 10 men was Private Buckam Singh, the youngest to enlist. Now, what you're seeing is an image of his gravesite as it appears on the new stamp. He died of tuberculosis in 1919, the only known military grave in Canada of a Sikh soldier from the World Wars. Canada Post is honoring their service with this special commemorative issue. So this is such a special moment for so many in this country, and we're going to talk more about it with our next guest, Sandeep Singh Brar, joining us in studio. He's the organizer of the annual Sikh Remembrance Day ceremony in Kitchener, Ontario. He's also the curator of the SikhMuseum.com. So good to have you in studio, Sandeep. Welcome.
Thank you, Natasha. It's very honored to be here on a special day today of remembrance.
It is a special day, and this is a special story. Tell us about Buckam Singh.
He's really a Canadian pioneer. He came to Canada in 1903. He was a young man, and he moved to Ontario eventually around 1912. He's one of the earliest documented Sikhs living in Ontario at the time. And when the war started in 1915, he was working on a farm at Pickering, and he tried to join. At that time, a lot of Sikhs in Canada were from military families or had themselves were veterans from the British Indian Army. When they came to Canada and the war started, they wanted to serve Canada and join the military. Tragically, almost all of them were turned away. They were told, sorry fellas, this is a white man's war. We don't want brown or people of color fighting Europeans in Europe. So it was a great disappointment, but fortunately 10 Sikhs were able to get in across the country, and Buckam Singh was one of the early ones. And he went overseas, fought with the 20th Canadian Infantry Battalion. He was wounded twice in 2 separate battles, and then he was in a series of hospitals because he had serious wounds. He got tuberculosis. He was brought back to Canada to a military hospital in Kitchener, where he died in 1919. His family was halfway around the world. There was no Sikhs in Canada. The military buried him with full honors with a military grave, and that grave lay pretty much forgotten for 100 years till I discovered his story.
That's it, until you found it. So how do you discover this grave? Talk to me about your connection with this soldier.
Yeah, just ironically, I acquired Buckam Singh's victory medal.
Which you've brought in with us as well, so we've got that on display.
So I got that from a military dealer in 2006, and I don't think he realized what it was, or I realized what it was, because this is a medal given to all soldiers of the Commonwealth. So whether you were a soldier in the British Indian Army or Canadian Army, you got this same victory medal. And on the rim, it said 20th Canadian Infantry and had his regimental number. It said Private B.A. Singh. So I was able to spend about 1.5 years researching his story in the Canadian Military Archives and piecing it together. And then I just found his grave was in Kitchener, Ontario, and it's the only military grave in Canada of a Sikh soldier. So I thought we have to do something. He's been reunited with his family after 100 years. So we started a Remembrance Day ceremony in 2008, and we've been doing it every year at that spot since then. So we're in our 18th year now.
That's wonderful. Congratulations on all of this. And you were also instrumental in designing of the stamp. So talk to us about the design and what it means to you.
Yeah, I think Canada Post was the lead on the design, but they reached out to me for feedback in terms of historical documentation, as well as my feedback on the stamp. And the stamp, it's just Canada Post does a great job of uncovering our history and bringing it to folks through a little tiny postage stamp. And on that little stamp, you see so much. You see a soldier in today's Canadian Armed Forces, and he's at the Remembrance Day, Sikh Remembrance Day ceremony. He's wearing a poppy on his lapel, and he's looking solemnly at Private Buckam Singh's grave. So it both pays tribute to our heritage and today's Canadian Armed Forces, which is so diverse.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think about the history of South Asians in this country. When you think back to the rejection of the Kamagatu Maru, which was filled predominantly with Sikh Punjabis trying to come to this country, sent back, the years of discrimination. But now we're at a point where we've got ministers who are of Sikh background. We've had premiers, mayors of major cities, and even a minister of defense in this country has been Sikh. And now the stamp, now this event. Have we bridged the gap? Do you think mainstream Canadians see the South Asian contribution as part of their history?
It's starting because, growing up here, I never learned anything about the contribution of Indigenous people in the military, or blacks or Chinese or Sikhs, but now it's being taught in our course curriculum, and our Canadian Armed Forces today is so diverse in its makeup. So these pioneers laid the groundstone for that.
What do we need to understand as we move forward? Why is it important to remember them?
I think it's important because they're really all pioneers. Like almost all Canadians other than Indigenous people came here as immigrants, and a lot of people have put their blood, sweat, and tears in the story of Canada. For Sikhs have been here for over 100 years. And it's just so emotional when, you stand in front of that grave and you see that large maple leaf on it. It means that Buckam Singh in his life achieved something we all seek, which is acceptance as Canadians. It's just a wonderful story.
And what are you going to be doing to mark the day today?
Well, I will be at the Remembrance Day ceremony, and this poppy has a very special meaning to me now.
That's so lovely. Thank you so much, Sandeep, for coming in, for sharing Buckam's story, your own story, and thank you for your dedication to Canadian history.
Thank you very much. It's wonderful to be here.
It's our pleasure.